Chapter 765, Monday Again. After Klein was done, Albert asked a few targeted questions according to his recount to ensure that the details matched up. Without a doubt, he obtained a satisfactory answer. "Thank you for your cooperation. Have a great dream." Albert smiled as he got up and bowed. Then, he used his nightmare powers to influence Dwayne Dance once again. It would make him have a vague recollection that he had such a dream when he woke up, but he wouldn't be able to recall the specifics. After doing all of this, he turned to head for the door, turned the doorknob, and left the dream. Indeed, the Nighthawks placed too much trust in nightmare powers. If I were to be the one leading this investigation, I would definitely design a series of questions that attack the matter from different angles ahead of time, and then do cross-referencing to find any loopholes. The best method is to enlist Miss Justice's help in creating a set of professional psychological questionnaires and get the target to finish it in the dream. If he were faking something, the psychological state and the image he wishes to project would definitely show contradictions from different evaluations. This is unless he's also a psychological expert and can spot the true goals of each set of questions. Klein leaned back into the sofa and cast his gaze out the window. In the darkness, the street lamps' glow appeared dim and pale, illuminating the surroundings in a gloomy silence. Klein silently observed for a few seconds before he curled his lips and gave a self-deprecating smile. And in the basement of St. Samuel Cathedral, Leonard first heaved a sigh of relief after he saw Albert wake up normally and heard his report. He felt even more fearful of the undying monster from the fourth epic. City of Silver. Lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating every street. Derek Berg walked out of his house with the axe of Hurricane in his possession as he headed for the Twin Towers that was north of the city. Along the way, he met several residents of the City of Silver. They were either busy, sending their children for general education lessons, or patrolling every corner in groups. It was to prevent anyone from turning into an evil spirit after dying from an accident at home and being without a relative to end their lives. The existence of these people made the City of Silver appear lively, and from time to time, Derek could hear the laughter and cheers from little children. He couldn't help but recall the days in Afternoon Town. The number of humans he met every day had numbered about 20, and most of the time, they needed to stay in a garrison building. Outside were monsters that lurked in houses under the cloak of darkness. They were eradicated again and again, but they would appear time and time again from unknown places. Every team member from the expedition felt a sense of helplessness towards this, as though there was no way of gaining true safety. They could never feel at ease with the need to go all out at any time. There was no chance for them to relax at all. No ordinary creature would wish to maintain such states of high stress and vigilance for prolonged periods of time. Therefore, in regards to that, the City of Silver had already developed a rotation system. It didn't take much time for the first expedition team to go from Afternoon Town back to the City of Silver, but there was the unavoidable quarantine and relaxation period. It was only today that Derek had managed to adjust himself to a mental state which he believed he could withstand the negative effects from advancing. He had previously reported to Chief Colin Iliad that he had obtained the potion formula to notary, and he was allowed to use this discovery to exchange for the corresponding Beyonder ingredients, feathers of a spirit-packed bird. As for the items he owed the moon, he had obtained them from patrolling Afternoon Town's surroundings and had passed them to him with Mr. Fool's help. After advancing, I'll be qualified to select a mystical item for non-high sequence Beyonders. Derek felt a little expectant as he sped up his pace and arrived at the Twin Towers. Although the material warehouse and the mystical items were all in the spire where they were watched by the 6-member council, Derek's goal was the steeple, because that was where he could exchange his contribution points for items. Just as he was about to enter the steeple, he felt his spiritual perception trigger. He subconsciously looked up at the spire, and he saw a woman in a black, purple-patterned robe standing behind a window, looking down at him. She had silver-grayish hair, light gray eyes, and a beautiful face. She was none other than one elders of the 6-member council, Shepherd Lovia. When their eyes met, Lovia's gaze seemed to penetrate his soul, but her expression remained the same. She even nodded slightly as though she was greeting him. She's not greeting me, but the person behind me. Suddenly, Derek came to a realization. This was from the experience he slowly accumulated under the guidance of the Tarot Club. He nodded in response as he retracted his gaze without any signs of abnormality. He then unhurriedly entered the steeple. At night, in a private harbor in Bayam, the Golden Dream, with its strange main cannon in the middle, docked by the side of the harbor. Danitz carried the local specialties that the Resistance had given him as he waved at them with a beaming smile while he headed up the gangway to the deck. He had been leading an extremely comfortable life in recent times. As an envoy who sent arms, food, and small amounts of Beyonder ingredients, he received quite good treatment. He either ate sumptuously or enjoyed himself by hunting and bragging. He was even invited to watch the ritual in which the sea god blessed his believers. After witnessing all of this, he suddenly came to a realization. Bayam, or perhaps all the colonies, would eventually embroil themselves in an intense conflict. It was something that wouldn't ease with decades or even a century. Therefore, Danitz decided to sell most of his properties in Bayam, leaving behind only one piece of property. He then found a chance to buy properties in the Inti's capital, Trier, and the Lone capital, Backland, as well as extremely idyllic and peaceful villages. I can also take the opportunity to return to Elima town and visit the old man and mom. Yes, I can buy one less house and get them a vineyard. Danitz waved passionately at the Resistance once again. He then puffed up his chest and said smugly to Flowery Bow Tie Jodson, "Where, Captain? I need to report to her on the recent developments." Jodson tusked in contempt. "She's obviously in the captain's cabin." Meanwhile, he lampooned inwardly. This fellow is becoming more and more arrogant after establishing ties with Jayaman Sparrow. However, that crazy adventurer is really terrifying. He actually managed to hunt Admiral of Blood. Heh, Danitz scoffed as he walked with a provocative gait and entered the cabin where he met Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina Edwards. He instantly stopped his provocative look as he smiled. "Captain, I've completed the mission." "Details?" Edwina put down the book in her hand as she asked. Danitz was already prepared as he gave a detailed description of what had happened recently while exaggerating his importance. When he was done, he said, "Captain, I met Jayaman Sparrow, and he got me to ask you if there have been any abnormalities with Elven songster Cyadas' corpse and that golden wine cup." Edwina didn't answer him directly as she walked to a corner in the captain's cabin. Sitting, there was a black wooden chest. The Golden Dream was setting sail for Sanya Island, so Cyadas' and Mobbit's remains remained on the ship. They were stored by Edwina in a specially prepared chest. Bending one knee in genuflection, Edwina opened the wooden chest, allowing the interlocked remains to see the light of day. The mostly squashed golden wine cup was held silently in a bony palm without any abnormal signs. "There's nothing abnormal," Edwina gave the conclusion. Danitz shot a glance and memorized the answer, preparing to report this to the mighty fool once there wasn't anyone around, so that he could forward the message to the lunatic Jayaman Sparrow. "Nothing abnormal." Above the gray fog, Klein frowned slightly, feeling a mixture of puzzlement and ease. According to his theory, there was a high chance that there was a problem with the golden cup. To have nothing abnormal happen to it had exceeded his expectations. However, he also liked the answer. This was because he didn't wish for Cyadas' and Mobbit's eternal slumber to be disturbed. Perhaps it needs other additional catalysts. Hey, let's hope that never happens. Klein muttered to himself before casting his gaze onto the junk pile where Grossel's travels was. As he temporarily didn't have any intention of entering the sea of collective subconscious, along with his recent focus being on the Antigonus family's notebook, he had delayed his plans of searching the book world a second time. Phew. Klein exhaled, retracted his gaze, and prepared for this week's tarot gathering. 3 in the afternoon, Backland time. Dark red beams of light shot up along the two sides of the long mottled table, materializing into different blurry figures. As usual, Audrey was in a good mood, or perhaps in a better mood than usual. This was because her brother, Hibbert Hall, had sent a telegram, informing her that the purchase of the Backland Bike Company's 10% shares was completed for a total of £12,000. Furthermore, she didn't need to rush back to Backland to sign any documents. Before Hibbert set off, she had signed a letter of authorization while under the witness of 2 lawyers. All she needed to do now was wait for everything to be over before signing a letter of confirmation for her brother. Audrey curled up the corners of her lips as she stood up and said to the figure sitting at the end of the bronze table, who was concealed by gray fog, "Good afternoon, Mr. Fool Tilda. May Mr. Fool bless me. I hope there will be clues to the fruit of an illusory chime tree today." Immediately after that, she began praying in silence. After exchanging greetings and taking their seats, Katlia didn't let down Klein's expectations. Once again, she lowered her head without daring to look straight at him. "Mr. Fool, there are 3 pages of Emperor Rosel's diary this time. Has that queen mystic still not found the clues to why Emperor Rosel was assassinated? She's still providing diary pages through Ma'am Hermit. What a pity, I've recently been in the fief, and I haven't had much contact with the psychology alchemists. I can't even obtain new diary pages. I'll head over to the Relic Search and Preservation Foundation after a few days to take a look. Perhaps they might have found something." Audrey listened in curiosity. The Fool Klein chuckled. "Very good. You can consider your request. In fact, I know that Queen Mystic has already given you the question. I wonder what she's doing in Backland." Klein's mind started to wander. Soon, Katlia conjured the 3 diary pages and handed it to Mr. Fool.